He's angry about mortgages. It's Angry Mortgage. He's swearing. He's cursing loud. He's old. He's opinionated. And he's been doing this so damn long. This program is about mortgages, and this is mortgage advice, but the advice may not apply to your situation. Contact licensed mortgage professionals for specific recommendations before you make decisions about mortgages. You may not agree with Ron, but if you don't, he thinks you're wrong. Oh, and did we say there is a lot of swearing?
We are back with I think you're the record returning guest. I'm pretty sure. Rob Campbell. Rob Campbell, mortgage broker out of Guelph, Ontario.
That's right. Thank you very much, Ron. Fourth time's a charm. I don't know why you keep making this mistake.
We keep bringing you back.
Bringing me back,
You're
but
good.
I'm so happy to be here.
Good guests keep coming back. Love to have you.
Thank you very much.
So, sometimes we do shows that aren't so much about mortgages. So now we're going to have a show. We're going to concentrate on mortgage brokerage and mortgages and interest rates. Yeah, it's funny. Sometimes, I could get really political, but then sometimes you just get tired of it. We'll throw a little politics in at the end.
At the end. Let's do that.
But let's talk about the state of the mortgage industry right now. It's the start of the year. There's all kinds of predictions. Oh, one thing I forgot to mention to you.
What?
It's bugging the shit out of me.
Okay, go for it.
I'm watching a certain show last night that has realtors and mortgage people on it, and so that's fine. I'm watching it. And there's all time of year, there's always predictions. So the consensus predictions, they weren't totally stupid. They were things like, yeah, we think it's still going to be slow to begin, and then for some reasons it'll pick up and it'll be a great year. Boom, boom, boom.
Mm-hmm.
But then the couple of the utter weirdness and craziness and madness.
Give it to me.
Of some realtors and mortgage brokers just bubble to the surface.
Okay.
And the mortgage guy says, yeah, I expect at some point in the summer that things will get back to normal and we'll have multiple bids all around. So I'm thinking, what the fuck is wrong with you? Okay. That is the craziest fucking, admittedly, he's young. He's in his 30s. Okay. So maybe in his mind, that's the way the fucking world worked. It's all multiple bids.
I'm going to play devil's advocate. Could it be that this broker's in a smaller market that's maybe more affordable, commutable?
Fuck no, he's right downtown. Okay.
Toronto.
Okay. Downtown Toronto mortgage broker.
Okay.
The company's based downtown. They're right downtown.
Okay.
Downtown Toronto.
Okay.
And he's saying that the natural course of events in real estate when you're buying a house is multiple bids. That's the nature is auction. Like auction is the world of real estate. Okay. And somehow we fell out of the normal world where people are fighting about listings. They're fighting about, I don't want to pay that much. What? You don't want to pay that much? Fucker, you're supposed to bid me up.
That's right.
So, and I'm not pretending there's no such thing as there's no multiple bids today, but as on a spectrum of 2021 versus today, that's like a 95-5 split.
I agree.
95, no fucking bids.
I agree.
Okay?
I agree.
But the crazy part is he's pitching it like that's the way it should be. Now, I am old as fuck, as I keep saying.
Super old.
And, and there you go.
You didn't catch it the last time I was here, but you got it now. Your hearing's getting better with age. Yeah, super old. Yeah, go for it.
So I'm thinking, I went my entire life up until 2015, up until 2014. There weren't any fucking multiple bids, okay? My experience of buying my own first house is that, there's the listing. That's probably 10, 20 grand too high. We're going to go barter a little
Haggle
bit,
back and forth.
And then find a compromise and sign on the dotted line. All this shit about, we're accepting offers. Yeah, right. We are accepting. You can come and beg to buy this fucking house in 2021. Yeah. Come and beg. Maybe what you should do is, before the offer date, come in with a huge bully offer, go over 300 grand over ask. And
just
maybe we'll
blow it out of the water.
We'll think about that, okay? That is such a fucking anomaly. And here's this young guy dumb fuck that he is, okay,
Jesus.
saying,
Okay.
well, that's we're going to get back to normal, like auctions, okay? Oh, but wait, there's more, okay? There's more.
There's more.
There's more. There's more. It's the next guy sitting next to him says, yeah, you know, and we can simplify the process. When it gets back to normal, we can simplify the process, and there won't be any conditions in offers.
Oh,
we
good.
Get rid of all this inspection.
Good.
No more inspection stuff.
Right.
No more financing stuff. Just clean offers.
Clean
offers.
Right.
We'll get back to that.
Well, you know what's crazy? When we got out of the pandemic, real estate madness, and then we got into the, you know, what I call the graveyard of mortgage activity.
Super high rates, yeah.
Yeah, high rates, no volume. There were realtors that got into the business in 2020 and 2021 that had to then rely on the guidance of seasoned realtors to go, my client's telling me they want to put a financing condition. Yeah. There's a switch on this offer button here that I got to put it into the offer. Like literally did not know how to do that.
Never heard of it.
Never heard of it. Listen, we went through it. It was insanity. I know in Guelph, shout out Royal City, 30 offers. 40 offers on listing. Jesus. Insanity. You know, if you're up against, if there's two people putting an offer on a house, you got a 50-50 shot. How do you sit down with a couple and go, you have a 2% shot at getting this?
But we can always just try to bid really high. So, but I'm listening to these two, well, what's the right way to describe them? Fockers, okay? Spewing this nonsense, okay? But let's get back to normal. Multiple bids, no conditions, no financing conditions, no one. And I was just waiting for the guy to say, and that inspection stuff is bullshit. I mean, there's always something wrong. Look, they're both young people, fine. But let's just a shout out to those two fuckers.
Okay,
fuck yourself. Okay, like seriously, like it is so wrong on so many levels to say that. Your what you want to return to normal were all the worst impulses of the real estate industry. Yes. All the worst. Okay?
Stressful for everybody, financially stressful for the realtor and the mortgage broker or banker to put that deal together. Appraisal came in $200,000 shy. Like just insanity.
Yeah. So let's you and I can agree because we're reasonable people. We don't want that normal back. I mean,
that's chaos. It's chaos.
And it produced what we're seeing today, where there are, when the worst outcome happens and the people who bought in 2021 have to sell, especially in the single family world, in Guelph, in 905, in Brampton, in Pickering, in Ajax, in Barrie, in Agassiz, in BC, in the farthest reaches of the Fraser Valley, where all those houses were bid up through the roof in 21.
Yep.
And if they have to sell now, wow, that's like that's a 20% drop.
It is,
but it's a 20% drop from the absolute preposterous heights.
Insanity, yeah.
And it's still not 2019 numbers. Like it's still, we haven't seen a 2019 drop. Okay. Any of those in any place in Ontario or British Columbia. But yeah, there are some people who got way fucking touched up, by this.
Especially those offers that were accepted December of 2021, January 22.
Oh boy,
murderous, murderous.
Yeah.
Heaven forbid you made an offer, you moved, and then there was a marital breakdown or a job loss or something. It was a race to the bottom to list that
thing.
thing.
Variable rate mortgage.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, but mostly what you just said.
Yeah.
Some kind of job loss, illness,
marital breakdown,
and the beating people are taking on those things. It's just incredible.
Brutal.
And because those aren't dog crate condos. Those are places where almost like the majority of people live in them.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Okay. In those single family homes that they paid way too much for. In the farthest reaches of the 905. And what's your area code? 519.
519.
Yeah. Because there was like stuff in Guelph, Cambridge, London. Well, not so much. Well, yeah, London.
London,
and KW. There was some madness. Okay.
Guelph and KW is preposterous.
That's Kitchener-Waterloo for all of our across Canada listeners. And
You do have a lot. Okay, this isn't on the agenda, but I did want to make this point. You do have a lot of fans. I attended a wedding in Paris, Ontario.
But by the way, I've been to Paris, Ontario.
Right.
Okay.
I've
been to the other Paris too.
Okay. Far better, but Paris, Ontario. Okay, so
better.
True story. I'll make this very short and sweet, just to show how popular you are. We go to the wedding, bride and groom. Dun, 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 okay, you take this person. Okay, great, kisses, photos. Okay, and then here comes the bride, and then they walk down the aisle. Yeah, flowers and rice or whatever. And then we all stand up, and we're all like, okay, we're gonna go downstairs for a drink now. Okay, great. Guy comes across from the other side of the aisle and goes, "Are you that Ron? You and that Ron Butler guy, right?" I go, "Yeah." And he says, "I love that fucking show. My dad's here. His dad's there at your age. Dad, the Butler Show. This guy's on the Butler Show." So shout out to Daniel Noto and his family, and congratulations on another successful year for you.
Well, listen, thank you. It's very kind. The fans. Sometimes the fans.
Everywhere. You're on that show, right? I go, yeah. It's not my show.
Sometimes the fans talk to me at the grocery store.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wait a second. You do your own shopping?
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
Okay. What do you think I did? Like, you think there's? I have a man servant who goes.
We're out of broccoli. Go get the fucking broccoli. Anyway, next topic. We're out of milk.
All right. Anyway, so I've beaten the shit out of those two guys on the television.
Yes, you did.
Heavily enough. So and still fuck them. Let's talk about the state of the mortgage business right now. So mortgages fall into a bunch of categories. Let's start with what everybody talked about forever for the last year and a bit. The vast amount of renewals.
Yes.
Is it a boom in the mortgage business? Is all this, because there is a huge number of renewals.
Huge.
25% of all mortgages, I think.
I think it's higher.
Well, no, I think just this year.
Oh, just this year. Okay. Yeah.
Just 25. It might be 23 or 20 somewhere. It's a big number.
Sure.
Coming up for renewal now. Or is it a bust? Is it not going to really be what everybody thinks it is?
So for the consumers, the homeowners listening to this, it's definitely a great time for you to shop for your options. What, Ron, you're referring to is on the mortgage broker side in the industry.
Or the bank sales rep.
Or the bank sales reps, right.
Or the lender side, just the lenders themselves.
Totally. The path of least resistance, as we know, in a falling rate environment is to stay with the current lender. And the competitiveness in this space is going to be huge, I think, as I think you do as well, because if there's not a material change to your situation that you want to take advantage of, so you don't need more money, you don't need to refinance, right? You're not going to take out money to buy another property, which we're just not seeing anymore, which I'm sure we'll talk about soon enough. But if there's no real need for a change or an amortization adjustment, retention at lenders is going to be hugely competitive.
Yeah. So the people who coach salespeople, coach realtors, coach mortgage brokers, coaches say, "Oh, we have many strategies. We're gonna," and like I am constantly telling people to shop. You tell people to shop.
Yeah.
But what we're seeing is, and you must shop, people, please, sweet Jesus, if you've got a mortgage coming up for renewal, you have to gain awareness of where the best rates are, what they are, get the number, find out 60 days in advance. I mean, but the reality you and I have learned is in a situation where mortgages, there's no growth in mortgages in Canada per se. There's no, for reasons we'll get into, there's not a lot of new big mortgages happening in the residential space. So banks don't like that. Banks don't like no growth in their lending book, in their mortgage book. So one thing they make absolutely certain of is they don't want to lose any mortgages.
Right.
They do not. Okay. As I've mentioned before, mortgages disappear on their own. People pay them off, right? I mean, eventually you make your last payment. The marriage breakdown we talked about.
Yep.
I mean, that normally results in a sale. The mortgage is gone.
Yep.
We've got all the other things that happen where mortgages just go off your books.
And the math on that marital breakdown quickly is you would think, 10, 15 years ago, it would definitely be one mortgage turns into two.
Yeah.
Mr. and Mrs. separate. They go their separate ways. They bought
10, 15 years ago, 100%.
100%.
Right.
Now it's literally a zero. It goes from one.
Goes from mortgage to
no mortgage.
Not just doesn't turn into two, it turns into no mortgage.
Very rare right now, very rare for one person to buy out the other and retain the home. Very rare.
It's hard. We all understand why it's hard, because particularly in some provinces, the price of homes is batshit crazy. And then we also have the rates are higher, so qualification is tougher. And it's not as if incomes have kept up to really and truly, have they kept up to the size of the mortgages, the size of the purchase prices?
No. Also, keep in mind, if a couple's been married for 15 years, let's say, I'm just throwing a number out there. Well, Ron, they bought that house for a sack of potatoes and a carton of milk.
Yep,
it is now worth a shitload of money. If I'm leaving the house, I want my equity out of that property. So now the person staying in the home has to not only foot the bill for the current debt, but also pay out the partner and lump all that together. So the values have just really made this.
The math kills it.
That's
the
right.
Math kills
That's
it.
right.
And sometimes people just say, well, look, it's to your point, 15 years ago, in a comparative way, nobody thought they were cheap then, but in a comparative way, houses were cheap 15 years ago, even in expensive provinces. And you could say, yeah, I'm just going to buy another house. I'm just going to take whatever money I get out of this one, buy another one.
Yep.
Or because in many cases you could buy it through CMHC, you could buy it with a low down payment. There just isn't that just barely works anymore,
right?
Okay? Because every fucking house in Southern Ontario is still like
bonkers.
And would you want to move into a dog crate condo? No, you don't, because you probably have a couple of kids if you've been married for a couple of 12 years.
Yeah.
And those kids don't want to be in a dog crate condo, because not even the single people want to be in a fucking dog crate condo, and they're still expensive.
The whole layer of complexity on separation is huge nowadays, because if there are kids involved, generally we're talking about keeping the kids in the same school area so that their life isn't too disrupted. So now the partner leaving the property has to try to find a property, and inventory is huge now, but that's single detached. To your point, okay, you can buy a box in the sky. You're going to pay $500,000-$600,000. You're not going to qualify for it anyway. It's just a lot of. I think a lot of people in the last 2 to 3 years have kept together because of the
there's people who
unaffordability to move.
There's women who've come home and caught their husband banging their sister, and there's still one guy's in the basement. I'm not looking at you, but
Jesus.
But there's now the husband's in the basement and she's upstairs, and they never see each other, but they can't. They can't break
move
the household up. They're stuck. Okay?
Yeah. It's super difficult.
Why do I always use that analogy?
I have no idea. I don't know.
It's I think because that, you know why you do it? Because that's the one thing there's no return from.
You can never come back from that.
Yeah, you can never. No, there's no woman who catches her husband in bed with her sister could ever keep that husband.
Right.
That's
inexcusable.
It's too much.
Okay.
It's just too much. So everybody who's shocked by that story, I just use it for maximum effect. It's not something that ever happened. Never happened in my life. Never happened in Rob's life. Okay, just want to be clear on that.
Yeah,
very, very clear. Okay.
Although on one of my previous visits, I did mention working at a previous career where that would happen a lot. Gentlemen on the road doing road work, installing machinery, and coming home early to surprise the family. And they got a surprise of their lifetime. Yeah.
All right, back to renewals. We drifted off into utter
back
madness.
On the tracks.
Pure madness.
What are we, the Liberal Party of Canada? We're off the rails.
So renewals. So there is going to be a ton of renewals. You must shop. Rob and I are just saying the same thing over and over again. You must be prepared. You must not accept the first offer, because we already know, this is the truth, the first offer is never the right offer. It's never the best offer.
That's correct.
But will you choose to switch your mortgage? You may not. You may get the ammunition you need, go back to your incumbent lender, because they don't want to lose the business.
They don't. And to be quite frank, retention costs very, very little at a lender. You know this. Yeah. To source new business at a lender, whether it be through the bank channel or the broker channel, it's expensive to do that. To retain a customer, they can continue to lower those rates on you and still be at a profitable margin.
Yeah, the point I make over and over and over is that when mortgages ran so hot for 12, 15 years, there was a constant growth in your mortgage book. You didn't have retention wasn't as vital.
Right.
But now that there's no more growth in your mortgage book as a bank, well, fuck, we're not going to give anybody up.
That's right.
Everybody.
That's right.
And so that's why. But you must shop, people, please. You must be prepared. You must not. Don't wait till the last 2 days. Because
No, God, no.
Because the lender knows that
They got you. They got you by the short and curlies.
60 days is optimal. Why not 90 days, Ron? Why not 120? Because the lender won't listen to you as hard at 120. Okay, and we're in a sort of a continuing rate reduction environment, particularly if you choose variable. So 60 days is ideal. Get ready, be prepared, make your calls, study the, go to the interweb. Go to the internets and look up rate comparison sites Canada and look at some rates. Okay. So the next huge category for the mortgage business is buyers. Okay. It's buyers. And, you and I have talked about the sort of evaporation of first-time home buyers.
Yes.
For the last, 10 years, 8 years?
A long time.
Too long.
Yeah, too long.
Rob has good insight into how average people live. I mean, some of the mortgage brokers that I know, their whole practice is based in downtown Toronto. Some of the most affluent people in Canada. And you and I lament the fact that there's no such thing as the assistant manager at a Loblaws and the lady who looks after giving out the pills at the nursing home.
Yeah.
That couple can have a chance at it.
Never. Not now. Not never. We were talking about this at lunch. There was a time not that long ago where an assistant manager at a Loblaws full-time was a damn good
job.
Career.
Good job.
Good union paying job or whatnot. A mother in the family could have an administrative job for 20 grand a year, 25 grand a year full time. Obviously we're going back a ways, but I've talked about this before with you, Ron. My wife and I bought our first home. Our first home was $146,900. And I think collectively we were making total about $40,000 a year. So to your point, 4 times income.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Geez, man, there's something to be said about the affordability of a first-time home buyer bracket. Right now, what I'm seeing, and again, I have respect for a lot of careers out there, but what I'm seeing right now is it's very slated towards a public sector buyer. And what I mean by that is if you are a full-time teacher or you're working at a municipal office at a county or a city, okay, you're not having any problems qualifying, generally speaking.
Well, not in the heart of 416. It's still tough.
In 416, 905 for sure. I'm talking about my area outside of the GTA.
Outside of the GTA, yeah.
It's a starter home, 600, 700, up to 800,000, depending on your neighborhood. Man, those factory workers just can't afford to buy a first home anymore.
Yeah, I'm talking to I do take some calls. I still to this day take calls from borrowers, and there's people with a combined family income of $146,000, and they can maybe squeeze out a townhouse.
Ron, how crazy is that annual household income
Yeah.
to say no to somebody?
No. In the U.S., you could probably buy a 3,800 square foot 2-story just outside of Houston and have money left over. Sure. Absolutely the case. All right. So we don't see as many first-time buyers. I mean, that's a fair statement.
Yeah.
We don't see... Now, people are talking, the new CMHC program. Oh, you're no. It's still so hard to qualify. Down payment, even a 10% down payment on the stuff over $1 million is a lot of money.
Yes.
Okay. It's still 90 grand on 900,000.
Yeah.
Not everybody can save up 90 grand unless you get that help from the parents.
Sure. But even still, as a parent, my kids are in their late teens. They're probably 10 years away from even remotely thinking about buying their first place. And if we're going to help them as parents, as well as I do, if you're writing a $200,000 check, you're probably going to want to go through the walkthrough. And then you're probably going to go through the walkthrough and go, what the fuck is this dump? we're buying this. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah. So I think it's fair to say that, in all the mortgage practices across southwestern Ontario and British Columbia, there's not a lot of first-time home buyers. There's some, they exist.
They do exist.
But I say this over and over. When I was young, starting in the business, 45% of everybody was first-time home buyer.
Yeah.
CMHC buyer.
Yeah.
So that certainly doesn't exist in Ontario and British Columbia. To a certain extent, it can be done in Alberta, and it can be done in Quebec. Although the truth is, even in Quebec, the average wage is not quite what it is even in Ontario. And by the way, average wage growth for outside the public sector, or outside of Air Canada pilots, 50%. It's not great. It hasn't been great. It's been stagnant.
Yeah.
And it shows these super high house prices, one of the highest house prices in the world in BC and Ontario. That's just not a workable system. So we are not seeing the same number of first-time buyers, and we're not really seeing the same number of move-up buyers, are we?
We're not.
People who want to go from out in a bigger house.
We're not. I mean, in the craziness of post 2016, 17, and that ramp up to the peak insanity. I mean, geez, it seemed like every other call was, we want to sell, we're listing, and we're buying in a bigger house in that neighborhood that we've been watching.
Bigger house.
That's why there was so much activity. We're selling and buying, we're selling and buying, we're selling and buying. I think the perception for me in this market is now we're in this home. We still have a 1.89% mortgage for another year, 2 years.
Yep.
Yes, there's a lot of inventory. Yes, we could move into that neighborhood, but that house is still expensive. Even though it's 20% cheaper than what it was at the peak, psychologically, if I think about myself and my wife,
is 20% less.
Right. It's just not, it's that heat isn't really on anymore. And I think we're probably not going to see those move up buyers for, I would guess, another 6 to 12 months personally, because or longer,
yeah.
Because it still comes back to, my bungalow's worth 900, but I just can't get over the fact I got to pay 1.3, 1.4 for the next place.
Because to your exact point, there's still a number of people who have 229, 189, 179, and they are not going to give that up. They're going to wait till the bitter end. So maybe 12 months.
Yeah, and if you're lucky, maybe you align yourself with a great broker, or Ron Butler as well is a great broker, Ron Butler. But maybe they call you and they say, "Look, because I have these calls a lot, Ron, and I'm sure you do too. I have a 1.89%. We want to buy a $1.6 million home. What can you do for us?" And you kind of go, "Well, do you need to move?" And they go, "Well, no. Why? Can I get this 1.89 ported over?" Well, no, you can't. If you're lucky, you can till the end of the term, but now you've got to increase the money, and
you need a blend.
It's blended, and then it becomes really and then so at that point, people go, "Well, fuck that. I'm just going to wait."
Yeah, you're not going to get whatever is going to happen is you're not going to keep 189. That's the bottom
That's
line,
right,
because you will need some more mortgage.
That's right.
Which brings us to the deadest of the dead category, which is rentals. Okay, the worst. And again, this could be there could be selling rentals like hotcakes in Moncton and Halifax and Red Deer and I don't know, wherever, and Quebec, who knows, tons, Montreal and Ville Quebec, but there sure as hell aren't many rentals in Ontario and Columbia.
Nobody's for all of those programs out there where the beautiful long-haired guy on TV is HGTV selling these programs to buy all these properties and whatnot. That ship has sailed, especially in my market. Does it still happen? I think predominantly the calls we're getting are people saying, "I already own a rental,"
or "I bought a rental back,"
or "I bought a new build, purpose-built rental, and I need to close on it." Yeah. What we're not getting calls on are, "Hey, this rental just came up for sale.
Pre-approve me.
Yeah, I want to go get it." Nobody's running for those deals anymore.
That was 30 calls a day in 2021, and it's zero now.
Yeah, and in Guelph, being a student town, it was right up until 2018, 2019, because we started to get into that, like the math, not so much the rate, but the cost of the house.
Sure.
And everybody's looking for that minimum 20% down for the most part. So yeah, those calls now, 2025, January, Happy New Year, by the way.
Yeah, Happy New Year. It is a new year.
It's just non-existent. You're seeing the same?
Yeah, we're seeing that if you just compare the greatest difference between 2024 and now beginning of 2025, if you compare it to the very peak in 2021 and the first quarter of 2022, but particularly 2021 was rental crazy town. Like I got to get a HELOC, I got to get a refinance a mortgage, I got to buy a rental, got to buy a rental, got to buy a rental. It's gone. It's there is no one ever asking today to get a HELOC to buy a rental, except if they bought the rental in 2020
right.
or 2019.
Right.
And it's a condo, dog crate condo it's going to come to completion.
Right.
Which is the bad news story of the decade right
now.
Like it's just but no one jumps up and says, I wish to begin my property acquisition journey, and I need a strategy to buy 6 rentals, preferably townhouses, and I want to be able to start scheduling that. That person is gone. They do not exist anymore.
Gonzo.
Okay, everybody just says, okay, should I look into rentals? You got to lose money for the first 2 years, right? Like you're not gonna. Oh fuck no, I don't want that. Unless it's really guaranteed to go up 20% a year. No, it's probably going to go down 9% or something.
And rental
so dead.
And let's talk about rents. Rents have been free falling. Yeah,
rents have been dropping steadily, particularly in 905 and even in 416. Also in Vancouver, rents are falling. It's obvious. And with the change in immigration, where immigration was just bananas, and now it's actually going to reverse.
Yep.
There's going to be like 12 comments. No, you're wrong. It's not going to reverse. They're lying. They're going to bring in 1 million more. No, they're not. So that's going to reverse, and that's just bad news story for rents. And also, particularly in 416, that just went out.
Always when I'm here. Always.
Why do you do this?
What the fuck? And we better be getting a check from Samsung.
Yeah, Samsung. It's product placement. Bottom line is this. There is a lot of fucking dog crate condos coming on stream.
Yeah. They don't have a hope in hell.
Don't have a good. There's no people lining up to rent them.
No.
So it's just a point in time when rental is dead. So all bad news for mortgages. Mostly all bad news, except where will rates go? Where are rates going to go? What are your thoughts? Where are rates going to go?
Oh man, I think Tiff, your buddy Tiff, which I haven't seen the doll lately, but
the doll is right behind you.
I know it is. I know it is. I saw it earlier.
It's a Muppet.
I'm waiting for the Muppet to just appear beside me. So January's rate announcement's coming up. I think the markets favor a rate decrease in January.
Yep.
Man, I don't know. Do you think with the rate drops that the Bank of Canada did in 2024, 1.75%, I believe.
1.75.
Yeah. What do you think we're going to get down to? Do you think they got 2-3 rate movements down this year, or do you think they're going to wait?
I think we're absolutely going to have a 25 basis point drop, 25 bips drop in January 29th.
Mm-hmm.
So that'll be a full 2% down.
Mm-hmm.
From the
that'll take us to 3%.
Take us to 3%.
Do you think we're going to get down to 2%? Like I think it's RBC that predicts 2% or 2.25%.
Well, CIBC predicted 2%. So what everybody, we're getting a lot of pushback now because U.S. inflation is not just disappearing.
Mm-hmm.
It's still there, and we are in Canada. Our dollar is down 8% versus the U.S. dollar, which is inflationary because means lettuce, cauliflower, and everything else that you buy in U.S. dollars, because all of those super cheap clothes from Asia, you pay in U.S. dollars.
They're not priced in the Canadian dollar?
No, they do not. They do not want any part of it.
You mean the whole world prices everything on the USD?
People pretend they don't. Like you have this group of there was these people like the BRICS.
The BRICS. Brazil, Russia, not BRX India. Scott Packford.
No, not Scott Packford.
No, the Brazil, Russia.
Who's my friend.
And mine. Okay. Yeah.
But no, this is Brazil, Russia, India, China, and something with an S.
Saudi.
I don't know what it is. Anyway.
Slovakia.
There's all this talk about we're going to start pricing in Chinese yuan.
Yeah.
That's the future. Nobody's going to care about the dollar anymore. Well, turns out, fuck no. We only want dollars. Okay, you can fuck yourself on all your other brick shit. And no.
Donald Trump burst through the wall like the Kool-Aid man and said,
the Kool-Aid
"Fuck
guy.
no,
No, you're gonna eat my dollar." So the truth is that I mean, stuff we buy from Asia, and it's because we bring stuff in from all over the world, right? Like we make so little here.
We do, yeah.
If you think about it, every towel when you're drying yourself off,
When you're washing your ass,
when you're
drying your ass.
we didn't have to go there.
Okay,
but-
sorry.
okay,
Well,
fine.
you dropped the sister-in-law thing at the dropping
all
it.
right,
Okay,
all
so
right.
when you're
So,
patting your
okay,
body
then
down
so-
after your
so now-
shower.
all right, so you've had yours now.
Okay.
So when you're drying yourself off, that towel was not made in Canada.
No.
It was not made in the United States.
No?
No, was not. Okay.
Okay.
You know what's probably made?
Bangalore.
Turkey.
Really?
Or India, yeah. But it's
Did you know
probably
that?
Turkey.
Yeah, interesting.
It's probably Turkey. Or sometimes Egypt.
Yes.
Egypt is still a huge cotton producer.
Right.
But there's nobody making towels in the U.S.
No.
Okay? Or Canada.
Or
No,
Canada.
Not at all.
Right.
Okay? Like we make like toques. That's it. That's about all. And most of them are from China. So yes, you are buying stuff in U.S. dollars. But look, the head of lettuce might have gone up percentage-wise
Sure.
a lot.
Sure.
Might have gone up $1.
Sure.
But if rents fell 300, then
Then what does it matter?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Like
It's shitty to see at the store because you do it, I do it.
Yeah.
You look and you're like, a dozen eggs is almost $4. This is fucking crazy.
Where the fuck are you buying eggs for $4? Like eggs are like $6.
You live a high life, Ron Butler.
No, I
In
do
Guelph,
not.
Ontario, I just pull over on the side of the road. There's a cooler, farm fresh eggs. I take 2, I pay for 1.
I bet you do. No, you don't. You pay in full. You pay in full.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck
But
no.
you're right. The cost sucks, but you are right. If you're renting, if you've been able to move places, obviously, if you're in the same place, then you may be caught in a high rental, but it all kind of works its way out in the wash, doesn't it?
Well, at the end of the day, here's what I know from being fucking old is
Super old.
Super old, he says. When the economy is going to rat shit, the Bank of Canada governor feels that he doesn't want to look like the biggest motherfucker around. Okay, like he Tiff. He likes to act like he's above it all.
I can almost
He's
hear
like
him right now.
Oh, I don't care about what people are eating. It doesn't make any difference to me. I eat very well. I eat my caviar. I eat my prime Wagyu steak. But the little people, I don't care what they're eating.
The poors.
The poors. But nobody wants to look like a motherfucker because he knows deep down his Tiff heart, which is like the Grinch heart.
Yeah.
Tiny, right?
Way down in there.
Way down tiny. Probably if some people must love Tiff, and if they ever heard this, they think you're such a bad fat man. But anyway, in Tiff's Grinch heart, he realizes that I will be hated for all time as the man who fucked up the recession. Okay, so there is human motivation to try to solve a sinking economy if you have the power of the Bank of Canada governor.
Yep.
And you will cut rates.
Yep.
I mean, so yes, there will be a cut in January.
Yep.
There may be a brief pause.
Yep.
To make sure that the Canadian economy is fully flushed down the shitter. And like it's quit circling the bowl and it's just gone down the S curve. Okay?
Yep.
So it's gone. Like it's clear water now. Okay. And you know that there will be they will want to revive the economy.
Yep.
And they will take that action. Okay.
Just do you think that and maybe I think we were going to touch on politics a little bit, but by the way, Carolyn Rogers, I enjoy watching Tiff and Carolyn Rogers when they give their little pressers. Shout out to Carolyn Rogers.
Now hold on a second. Now if you are starting to pitch to Carolyn Rogers that Rich Diaz on the Looney Hour has got a problem with you. Okay, like that's his girl. That's Rich Diaz's girl.
Okay.
Shout out to
Richard.
Rich.
Big shout out to Rich Diaz.
Shout out to
He's
Rich.
got a beef with Carolyn Rogers.
No, he is
In love with her.
Not in love, but
Fond of her.
he would go on a date with her.
I
She's a married woman.
Rich.
But
Rich.
Rich would go on a date.
Rich. I'm kind of on your side. I'm a fan.
Don't you start encroaching on
No. Carolyn Rogers and Rich, they can go out for high tea.
Right, just so I'm clear.
I'm just saying I'm a fan of Carolyn Rogers. So here's a question for you from a dumb guy to a smart guy. Do you think that the landslide election that is bound to happen here in Canada and the economic activity that might ensue over the next 2, 3, 4 years under this new government, do you think that's going to have some upward pressure on inflation?
No, because I think that inflation is taking its own course, and here's so I think it's fair to say, and I think he may have said it himself the other day in his interview, that the present government acted like drunks, spending money like drunks, and the new prime minister will be stuck with a hangover.
Yeah, he did say that.
It's not. We can't fix what the fuck's happened in a few months.
No.
That's not in the cards. But as far as rates are concerned, I can absolutely see further reductions in the Bank of Canada rate. And we may, even though the trend, the new trend is for everybody to say, oh, the fixed rates are stuck. They may even go up. Fixed rates won't go down anymore. It's going to be stuck 4.5, 4.75. Actually, I'm going to stick with my story. I can see lower fixed rates. No one, when you look at the Canadian economy, thinks there's some kind of miracle of success. So some people make a reasonable point that, well, if the Americans boom, then we'll be fine because we have these close trade ties. Tariff city, baby.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's not exactly. Years ago, a very wise man said to me, he was a very, very successful fund manager, said to me, hey, you guys in Canada don't have to worry, because he was American. He said, we're not going into recession. So why are you worried? We'll just pull you along with us. But tariffs change that.
They do.
I don't pretend to know. I don't pretend to know what the future's going to bear.
Sure.
But I sure as shit know that it's not going to be like it was.
No.
And therefore, I think there's a chance that fixed rates could go down. There is some indication of some deflationary impulse in some countries around the world. It's not just the United States where its economy is going to boom, but for a year at least. But when Trump gets in, when he's inaugurated in January 20th, it's only 17 days away. Well, when you're watching the show, it's only literally like
2 weeks,
10 days away.
Yeah. Speaking of elections,
okay, let's talk about
this. So just before Christmas, the weeks leading up to Christmas was an absolute shit show. Deputy Prime Minister basically hands in the letter of resignation and fucking bat signals it up. Doesn't just hand it in on the desk, bat signals it up onto the side of the world for everybody to read. I'm out. You're fucked. I'm stepping away. And then we think maybe our fearless leader is going to take a day or two to reflect and then step aside. Nothing has happened, Ron. What are we saying?
What's going on is fuckery is going on. But look, some things are inevitable, and the end of this Liberal government is inevitable.
Yep.
Now, whether it's in May or whether it's in June or whether it's in whatever, it's inevitable. I mean, I often get comments that, oh no, you'll see, he'll find some fucking way to hang you until October. No, he will not. There's
no way.
There's no mechanism.
By the way, you never do this, so I'm going to do this on your show. Yeah. In the comments below, comment is he going to make it till October or not? Is he going to resign before then?
Well, look, he's going to resign.
He has to.
He's going to resign, and there's some sort of weirdness associated with that too, because if he suspends Parliament, people love the prorogue word.
Yeah.
It only comes out about every 10 years or so. You hear that word.
Yeah.
When you suspend Parliament, literally everything dies. Like every bill, every single thing, every bit of legislation that was not passed is gone.
Vaporized.
You have to start all over again. So if you hadn't passed the capital gains recalculation, even though CRA is pretending it's already in effect, it's gone.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the extension of not things like the mortgage rules. The mortgage rules stay. That's just order and council stuff, and that's not a big deal. But money stuff to do with money, it all dies.
So the federal the NDP kind of coalition on dental care for seniors and all that stuff, if that stuff's not past the finish line,
it is. Dental stuff
finished. Okay.
There's some. It's possible that the pharmacare is not done, but
But anything that's in work in progress is gone.
It's just gone. If you probe Parliament, it's gone. Okay. So, and it's only a limited time. You can't probe Parliament for 6 months. You can probe Parliament for like 90 days, 120 days. There has to be a reason when the Prime Minister goes to Governor General.
Governor General,
to
right?
say that I am resigning.
Yes.
And therefore there needs to be some kind of convention to determine my successor.
And we have to pause Parliament.
90 days off to do that. And there's a mechanism in place.
Right.
You can say, okay, that's fine.
And on that topic, who do you think is going to replace Justin Trudeau? It doesn't matter. As The Rock would say.
So doesn't fucking matter who replaces Justin Trudeau. It does not. Like, seriously, Jesus Christ could come down from heaven to be the leader of the Liberal Party.
The second coming, and he has a liberal sash across him.
He is toast, okay? Jesus Christ couldn't get elected.
Good thing this came out after Christmas.
Yeah. No, I'm serious. Like, the second
nobody.
Nobody. There is just such pent up negative feelings.
There really is
about, and it's the typical thing when you overstay your welcome. Like if you're like that uncle who fell down the stairs and sprained his ankle, and he couldn't leave your house for a few weeks, and then by week 10 by week 10 days you're saying, I'm going to call a fucking paramedic and the ambulance because you got to fucking go.
Yeah.
Like, I can't handle you.
1 or 2 days, you can stay. We'll help you up and down the stairs.
Yeah.
But months and months and months, you got to go.
So he is the ultimate guest who's overstayed his welcome. You got to fucking go. We'll do anything to get you going. We'll throw you out the fucking upstairs window. But that just spreads and spreads and spreads, and everybody's just mad.
Everybody's mad.
People are mad. Like, sure, there are some people who love the Prime Minister. There are some.
Sure.
But they've gone down to that solid core of 20%.
Yeah.
And about 75% are just, he's got to fucking go.
He's got to go.
Okay?
I've talked to a lot of classic old school liberal voters who have said, for the first time in my life, and these are people in their 50s, in the first time in my life, if he stays, I can't vote for this party.
And then it's unlikely that, whoever it might be who gets the leadership, if they were in cabinet, they're totally tainted. I have a funny feeling that Carney's too smart to run this time. That it's just
they're just going to get decimated.
So I mean, there's not a lot of choices, and it's not going to work. So there will be a new government. There will be a new conservative government under Pierre Poilievre. I know the replies are starting already. He's a mean man. We hate him. Right. You'll see. Yeah. He'll fuck everything up. Yeah. He will be the next Trump.
Right. Yes.
Whatever. Okay. So I mean, he's coming, folks. So just
get ready for it.
Make sure your head doesn't explode when he's picks his cabinet. Okay, so he's coming, and what does that mean? Very simply, it means that there will be change. The stuff about mortgage fraud stuff will go through because he's been in favor of that for his new cabinet was in favor of that, and he's a law and order guy. He's a justice guy. So that'll go through. Will he be able to build the houses that he wants to build? We'll see.
We'll see.
At least he has one positive going, is that he's decided that to give municipalities a carrot to try to convince them that if you do well, if you do good, we're going to give you some money. He has decided that didn't work with a fuck, and he's going to use a stick. If you don't get rid of development fees, if you don't sharpen up this approval process, if you don't make it infinitely easier to build houses, we're not going to give you any federal money. And he can do that.
You mean the accelerator fund didn't do a lot of
decelerator fund?
Oh, okay.
It was a decelerator fund. Okay. So yeah, it's a different approach. It's decided. They've spent a lot of time thinking about their government. They've had time to think about.
They've got a lot of time. Okay? Yeah.
So I don't pretend I'm an insider, but I do talk to people who will be in the cabinet, and the reality of life is that. Yeah, they want to do. They see the things that we see that it's crazy to charge $192,000 in development fees to build a house. That only the home buyer pays it, and they want to change that.
And let's not forget, when you have a minority government, it's very difficult to get stuff done. When you have what might be a landslide of epic proportions majority, you can really roll up your sleeves and get to work.
Yeah. So, particularly for my pet project of income verification through CRA, it'll definitely happen. They're committed to it. They will do it. It's going to occur. And it may occur anyway, but it's going to definitely occur. And there will be measures taken to try to make it easier for people to buy homes. Not with CMHC.
Right.
I don't believe the new future prime minister is a huge believer in
CMHC.
doing those kind of stimulus things.
Right.
But he's a big believer in we can't do 28 reports before we think about building a new subdivision.
Right.
Like we have to deregulate. We have to have less regulation.
Right.
So I think that's what we can see.
Cloud impact studies.
Yeah. Helicopter studies. Okay. Yeah, absolutely. Rob, thank you.
Thank you, Ron.
I always enjoy having you on
Thank
the show.
you very much for having me.
Appreciate you schlepping down from Guelph.
Thank you for having me. I hope your audience really enjoyed it.
All right.
Thanks, Ron.
Next week. Thanks.
All right. Bye, everybody.
If you like the pod, well, don't just sit there. Go to YouTube, Apple, Spotify, and all the other ones and like the pod. And don't forget to subscribe so we can keep being angry at mortgages and swearing about mortgages. Angry Mortgage could use your support.